Hey everyone, it's Halloween, the season of tricks, treats, and all things spooky and scary. So today I'm going to draw some of my favorite spooky creatures, and that is goblins. I'll be giving you a rundown of some of the history, folklore, and media depictions surrounding goblins and gremlins, considering that they're basically the same thing. Personally, I've always pictured goblins as goofy, mischievous little creatures who don't aim to do anything more than cause minor inconveniences to unsuspecting people. For me, goblins are the reason why I always lose one of my socks from a pair, or they're the ones that hide the TV remote in between the couch cushions, or they move furniture just in my way enough that I'll stub my toe on it. These are all relatively harmless but slightly devious little pranks that they like to pull on people like me. As it would turn out, goblin tales from different cultures differ greatly from my previous expectations, with some being a lot nastier than what I envisioned. For most people, goblins are known as small humanoid creatures or spirits, known for being either malicious or mischievous in nature. I define goblins as little guys, big nose, big ears. The name goblin stems from either the old French word gobelin or the medieval Latin word gobelinus, considering the word goblin is obviously similar to both and they both mean relatively the same thing. Obviously the word goblin comes from Europe, but these are not the only goblin-like creatures in the world, with little mischief makers being part of the folklore from multiple different cultures around the world. Some notable examples that I came across in my research include goblins, as well as kobolds, korrigan, and hobgoblins from Western European cultures. There's also pukwudgie from Native American folklores, Mookie from South and Central American cultures, the Dokaibi in Korean culture, and many other ones from around the world. These ones are all relatively harmless little guys who like to play pranks on people who have either done something wrong to them or just for no reason at all. A notable example of a more malicious goblin creature is the red cap from Anglo-Scottish folklore, which gets its name from the fact that it dyes its hats in human blood. Lovely stuff. Well, that's our first goblin finished. His name is Gorbert, and he enjoys wearing berets and spending time with his bird friends. Now, I'm not great at drawing humanoid people, which you might be able to tell, so he's just a goofy little guy. And now it's time to talk about some of the more famous goblin depictions in media. And what better goblin to represent goblins in media than the Great Goblin from the Hobbit movie. Obviously, this goblin is not specifically from the Hobbit movie, this is just the version that I am drawing. The Great Goblin originally stems from the Hobbit book, which is one of my favorite books of all time. This rather grotesque creature is the king of the goblins in Middle-earth, or at least the goblins that live under the Misty Mountains. Goblins in J.R.R. Tolkien's universe are all evil, monstrous creatures and go hand in hand with the orcs of the world. They're relatively interchangeable. These goblins are always antagonists in most installments of the Lord of the Rings universe. Some other goblin depictions in media are the ones in Harry Potter, which I know nothing about, considering I've had nothing to do with that franchise. There's also those pig goblins from the Legend of Zelda franchise, as well as some more frog-like goblins from the Spiderwick Chronicles movie. Again, I haven't played the Legends of Zelda, nor have I watched the Spiderwick Chronicles, but it looks interesting. The final goblin depiction is the various iterations of the Green Goblin from Marvel. He's obviously not a goblin, he's just a person on some goblin steroids. And he likes throwing pumpkins at people, which I guess goes with Halloween. Well, that's our Great Goblin finished, and now it's time to talk about Gremlins. No, not those Gremlins specifically, the original Gremlins, which those are based off of. Gremlins are originally fictional creatures, which were used by pilots to explain malfunctions in aircraft. This idea of little mischief makers causing issues with aircraft exploded in popularity in World War II. Keeping to this idea of malfunctioning aircraft, specifically fighter planes, I'm making this little gremlin in the action of parachuting away from an unfortunate plane that he's damaged. What really started the whole media presence of Gremlins was a book written by Roald Dahl titled The Gremlins, which was released in 1943. The book was a massive success and was eventually adapted into the movie Gremlins, which is what most people nowadays know Gremlins from. These aren't the only media depictions and references to Gremlins, including an episode that includes Gremlins in the Twilight Zone, not that I've watched it, various Looney Tunes specials from way back when that include Gremlins, certain Ghostbusters TV specials and certain kids movies. I know that it's referenced in Madagascar 2, among others. Well, that's our gremlin finished. Don't worry about the pilot, I'm sure he'll be fine. Anyways, look at our gremlin, proud of his work, and I think you should be too. Alrighty then, that's our various goblins, gremlins, and ghoulies pretty much finished, although it certainly doesn't seem Halloween-y enough, so I reckon we have time for one more goblin. We'll first start off with a lovely pumpkin shape, which, with a bit of inking, we can turn into a pumpkin. More specifically, a jack-o'-lantern, keeping with the spooky season. And now it's time to start on our goblin friend. I'm drawing him in an arms up, open mouth pose, like he's just jumped out from the pumpkin and is yelling, "Boo!" Such a mischievous little fellow. I've also put the top of the pumpkin on his head. I think it adds to him as a character, and also it makes it look like he's just jumped out of the pumpkin. I think that's all of our goblins done, and I have one more thing to show you before you go. These are some little polymer clay goblins that I've made just for funsies. I like to give them little personalities, like this one who's a wizard, the little guy who's just gone out in the shower, this one who's just woken up, the guy in the beanie, and my personal favorite, the detective goblin. Just something I enjoy doing. I'm not great at polymer clay, but goblins are relatively easy to make, and it's just something I can do. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you for sticking around to the end. Please consider liking and subscribing, and a very happy Halloween to you all. Bye-bye.